What if the person who understands you best is tuned to a wavelength you can't perceive? Their uncanny grasp of your emotions isn't magic. It's the INFJ's unconscious cognitive processing. By that I mean their introverted intuition and extroverted feeling working together below awareness, pulling signals you don't even know you're giving off. We're about to explore 10 unconscious behaviors that show precisely how this rare personality type operates. Some of these behaviors seem like acts of deep kindness. Others feel almost psychic. Trust me, by the end, you'll see why they leave people both comforted and unsettled. And it starts with what happens the moment you sit across from them and notice their face shifting into yours. Before we start, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our weekly deep dives into the world of personality types. And if you are looking to achieve a deeper understanding of yourself and your personality type, click the link in the comments to take our favorite free personality test. Number 1. The emotional mirror reflex. You share an experience, and without realizing it, the INFJ's expression shifts to meet yours. Their shoulders soften when you exhale, their gaze carries the same weight you feel. It isn't performance. It happens below awareness, like a natural echo of your state. Their extroverted feeling works like a tuning fork for emotional frequencies. It picks up on tiny cues in your voice or posture and resonates with them instantly. You see the reflection in real time, and the effect can feel disarmingly precise. On your end, that reflection brings comfort. It feels like being deeply known without any effort of explaining. But behind the scenes, the INFJ is absorbing signals so thoroughly that their body mirrors those subtle cues on a preconscious level. The line between your emotions and theirs can blur, leaving both connected and slightly unsettled by the intimacy of it. Have you ever had someone match your expression and suddenly felt lighter? That's the power of this reflex, and it creates the foundation for what comes next. Number 2. The preemptive thought anticipation. You begin speaking, still searching for the right words, and they land on the exact phrase you were about to say. Not only that, but they capture the subtle meaning you hadn't entirely shaped yet. It can feel like they're finishing thoughts you hadn't even voiced. At the core of this is their introverted intuition. Think of it as a pattern engine running in the background. They're not mind reading, they're reading the architecture of your thinking. Every conversation you've had with them adds to an internal model, a web of rhythms and tendencies they've unconsciously tracked over time. Introverted intuition cross-references those patterns, simulates the next step, and predicts where your thought is heading. That's why talking with them often feels effortless, as if they've anticipated your turn in the dialogue before you've taken it. The effect is both connecting and unsettling. You feel deeply understood, but also a little exposed. And that sense of certainty is often why their hunches land so accurately. Something you notice even more when they recall details you'd long forgotten. Number 3. The archival memory system. This isn't about storing facts like a textbook. INFJs catalog details by emotional significance, not by facts or dates. What lingers in their mind is the meaning behind what you've shared, the weight you placed on it, the tone, the undercurrent of feeling that surrounded the moment. That means every conversation, even brief ones, gets stored in memory with the context attached. A minor detail can resurface years later if it carried emotional resonance at the time. An obscure line from a book you once mentioned, for example, may return in perfect clarity, even though you'd long since forgotten about it. To them, it was never trivial. It was part of your personal mosaic. The effect is powerful. On one hand, it feels validating to be remembered in such depth. On the other hand, it can feel exposing, as if every word you've spoken has been carefully preserved inside someone else's mental archive. They don't just remember what you said, they recall why it mattered and how it shaped the space between you. And that same sensitivity that allows them to store emotional histories also sharpens their awareness in the present. especially when it comes to noticing small shifts in the feelings you thought you were hiding. Number 4, the atmospheric mood detection. Picture yourself at a gathering, smiling and holding everything together, when an INFJ quietly asks if you're okay. The question catches you off guard because even you hadn't noticed the shift inside until that very moment. What felt invisible to you registered instantly with them. They scan the emotional atmosphere like a satellite, picking up microsignals others miss. A tiny change in posture, a tightened breath, a fleeting look, you don't notice giving these cues, but their system does. Those faint impressions weave into a picture that tells them more about the room and about you than words alone ever could. Even when they seem distracted, part of their awareness stays tuned to that background frequency. It's why they often recognize a mood before you've put language to it yourself. That early detection can feel grounding, but it also brushes close to unsettling, as if someone is reading the first draft of feelings you hadn't processed yet. Have you ever been surprised that they noticed your mood before you did? Tell us below. And while sensing the atmosphere is one skill, the real pause comes when they notice not just emotion, but the hidden tension between what you say and what you truly feel. Number 5. The truth detection mechanism. You may think you're coming across as convincing, but an INFJ will often notice something feels off before you've even finished. They're not accusing you of lying, it's subtler than that. Their system flags mismatches between your words, your energy, and the way your body carries the moment. Pause here in delivery and let that land. They feel something is off. This is their authenticity detection system at work. Their introverted intuition processes the patterns in what you're saying, while their extroverted feeling absorbs the emotional subtext. Together, they cross-reference words, tone, and body language to ensure accuracy. When all three align, the interaction feels seamless. But when even one piece contradicts the rest, it creates intuitive dissonance. For the INFJ, this isn't an analytical checklist. It's a gut-level unease that tells them the truth isn't fully present. You feel it in their steady attention, their gaze cutting right through rehearsed lines and into what's genuine. The result is a startling kind of transparency. You feel safe when you're authentic, exposed when you're not. And that continual depth of perception comes with its own cost, especially when the INFJ's system starts to overload. Number 6. The emotional overload disappearance. You're mid-conversation when the INFJ suddenly excuses themselves and slips away. This isn't rudeness or rejection, it's an autonomic emotional regulation response. Put simply, their circuit breakers trip and they need solitude. Their nervous system works like an emotional sponge, pulling in the feelings of everyone around them. Over time, that absorption builds until their own emotions become indistinguishable from what they've picked up from others. When saturation hits, the system can no longer process cleanly. The weight of those borrowed feelings becomes too heavy to hold. At that moment, withdrawal is automatic. They must step out to release what isn't theirs, just like wringing out the sponge to keep it from tearing apart. Alone, they can filter through what belongs to them and what was only absorbed. It's not avoidance. It's how they survive high-emotion environments and restore a clear sense of self. Click the link in the comments to take our favorite free personality test. When they return, they're often calmer and more grounded, ready for genuine connection again. And once their emotional space is reset, something else begins to happen. They start asking questions that cut straight to the heart of what you usually keep hidden. Number 7. The targeted question. Precision. An INFJ has a way of dropping a question that lands exactly where you're most guarded. The phrasing is gentle, never forceful, yet it feels laser-focused, like they've traced the outline of something you'd rather keep buried. Before you realize it, you start answering with honesty you didn't plan to share. Their process isn't random. They notice the patterns in what you avoid, the subjects you glance past, the compliments you can't accept, the memories you soften so they don't sting. Using those signals, they formulate questions that directly address your unspoken pressure points. Their aim is understanding, not exposure. The reaction inside you is often a mix of emotions. Relief, because someone finally sees the parts of you you usually hide. Vulnerability, because the question makes you feel both open and exposed. It's like someone held up a key you didn't know existed and fit it perfectly into your inner lock. Has a question like that ever surprised you? Share below. And there's another layer to this precision, because when they turn their full attention towards you, the effect doesn't come through words at all. It comes through a look that feels less like glancing and more like being witnessed. Number 8, the soul-level eye contact. When an INFJ locks eyes with you, it goes beyond ordinary eye contact. Their gaze feels absorbing, drawing you in with a weight of full attention that's both rare and intense. It's not polite observation, it's total presence. In that moment, their functions align. Introverted intuition searches for deeper meaning, while extroverted feeling resonates with your emotional state. Add in their quiet analysis through introverted thinking and the sensory detail from C, and you have every layer of cognition tuned sharply toward you. The effect is powerful. You feel profoundly seen. But here's the paradox. That sense of total acceptance makes you more aware of your own self-criticism. Their steady, non-judgmental gaze feels like an invitation to drop the mask, which can be freeing. At the same time, it exposes insecurities you would usually keep hidden. It leaves you comforted, yet vulnerable. What do you do when someone looks at you that way? And once that connection is set, something else happens. They begin completing your thoughts in ways that reveal more than you realized was even there. Number 9, the thought completion phenomenon. You begin to share an idea, still piecing it together, and they finish it, not with a copy of what you meant, but with an expansion. Their response folds in layers you hadn't consciously named yet, connecting your unfinished thought to values, past conversations, and subtle patterns you've carried all along. This happens because their introverted intuition constantly tracks associative links across time. It isn't guessing and it isn't mind reading. It's how introverted intuition maps your ideas into a larger framework. They take your words, your tone, your recurring themes, and connect the dots into a trajectory you didn't realize you were building. The effect is communication that feels startlingly efficient. You may feel understood in a way that saves hours of explanation. At the same time, when their completion reaches further than you expected, it can feel like your inner blueprint is being read aloud. They sometimes internalize your patterns so well that it seems they know where you're headed before you do. It can feel validating and unnerving in equal measure. And when that same insight turns from thoughts to actions, they begin noticing patterns in your behavior that even you've overlooked. Number 10, the behavioral pattern recognition. They see the habit behind the act. Maybe it's how you constantly touch your necklace when you're uncertain, or the way your voice softens when you talk about something that matters. These are patterns you don't notice because they live beneath your awareness, automatic signals that reveal far more than you intend. Their introverted intuition works like a pattern detection system running underneath the surface. It continuously scans gestures, speech rhythms, and reactions, drawing connections across various situations. Instead of focusing on single actions, they map the design beneath them, the recurring defenses, the unconscious responses, the traces of your deeper motivations. That observation has a double effect. On one side, it can feel exposing, as if someone is seeing through to the blueprint of your behavior. On the other hand, that feedback can create valuable self-awareness. They notice the automatic settings you don't see, and by reflecting them, they give you the rare chance to adjust instead of repeat. Which small habit do you think reveals the most about you? And this is where everything ties together. These aren't deliberate techniques, but the natural outcome of how their mind is wired to perceive people at a deeper level. In conclusion, What may seem unsettling in INFJs is really the natural outcome of their profound depth of perception. They don't look for surface details, they register meanings, patterns, and emotional truths that others overlook. If you recognize these traits in yourself, remember this: you're not too much or broken. You're deep water in a shallow world. That depth is rare, and it matters. These traits are gifts that ask for boundaries. They bring profound connection, but they also call for care in how you balance what you give and what you keep. If you want to continue the journey to understanding yourself or an INFJ in your life, click either of the following videos, where we continue to unlock the secrets of the INFJ personality type.